my mother had one sibling, an older sister. She was 3 years older than her. Her name was Joyce. Actually, her name was Marilyn Joyce. But nobody ever called her Marilyn. It's like she always went by Joyce. The interesting thing is, we always kind of thought she looked like Marilyn Monroe. She was a really beautiful woman. Actually, both my mother, as young adults and when they were young, her and her sister were both good-looking women. It's like they fortunately inherited the house gene. It's like, because my grandfather was really a handsome guy. Um, anyway, the two of them. One of the things I remember about them when I was young, and when unfortunately my aunt did not live the full life she should have lived. She passed away. I'd have to look it up, but I think she was in her early 40s. She died in 1973 and passed away. My One of the things I remember about the two of them is they would oftentimes sit on the phone. They'd be on the phone with each other talking, and they'd be on the phone for quite some time. And one of the things I knew, and I think my mother actually told me about this, is like lots of times they just sit on the phone and not say anything, for a period of time, maybe a couple of minutes or something, until somebody thought of talking or saying. I think they're maybe kind of lonely, missed each other, even though they weren't that far away. She was actually in Redondo Beach, so she was just not that many miles away from us. But and I think my aunt Joyce didn't have. I think she spent a lot of days really bored because she wasn't working. Her husband worked, David. He worked, but it's like, and I think she was just bored. She was also, and I'll do other videos about this. She was unfortunately, at a young age, she contracted polio, and it affected her life. But physically it did, but it never stopped her from doing anything. So she kept, she kept going and going and going, and it's like, and she, was, as active as she possibly could be. She had a great sense of humor, and like I said, I'll talk about more about her later. But I was just thinking about how they would sit on the phone. I'd see my mother sitting in the chair on the phone with her, and just kind of like not really talking, and and then once in a while they start talking again. So I thought that was interesting. Here's a picture of the two of them when they were young. And yeah, she's 3 years old, my Aunt Joyce, and she had blonde hair, beautiful blonde hair, and it's my mother, and that's the two of them.